when it comes to the extreme, people take to the streets. So when we present now, as we do the Human Development Report, putting an index also where we look at inequality, what we can see is actually that the map overlaps with the world of today, where there is a lot of distrust in society and also where there is social unrest. So what we have done with this year's Human Development Report is something really important, because we have looked at human development through the lens of inequality. And what we see in the world of today is that increasing inequality is actually creating social unrest in many parts of the world. And it's also becoming one of the major challenges to be able to reach the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. So I think that the report gives a lot of insight, new data, and hopefully also better understanding how we need to address the challenges that we see with regard to increasing inequality, but also a different kind of inequality, the inequality that's rising also in relation to new challenges such as climate change, and also how we deal with the technological divide of the world of today. So it's obvious when we talk about inequality, we need to look beyond income and also beyond averages. If we take such an important topic as gender inequality, that we know is actually one also of the major hindrances actually to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to look at the situation of girls and women and why we're not progressing, even seeing perhaps a backlash, as we also talk about in the report. If we are to understand beyond averages what this means also for the younger generation, we need to look at their perception of the prospects of a sustainable development and more prosperous futures. So it's incredibly important to go much deeper if we are to understand the complexity of inequalities of today. So even though we see a lot of countries actually enrolling kids, both boys and girls, in school, primary education, we see that there's a need for higher education. And even though we can see that the use of technology and the access to mobile phones in so many countries have made it possible for countries to leapfrog, the infrastructure, the regulations are not really in place. So there is also a huge risk that we will see a technical divide that will actually make inequality even a worse problem than it is today if we don't address this. So in order to have the right policies in place, politicians need to be fact-based, and this is of course also a challenge in today's world where we have a lot of fake news traveling around. And I think that when we can give data and an improved understanding of what the world looks like, it's actually one of the best contributions for policy making and for the discussion that needs to take place in each and every country, because there is not a silver bullet, there is not one answer how to address this challenge of increasing inequality that we see across the world. Also UNDP, with our network in 170 of the 193 member states, we can actually also bring a lot of best practices from different countries and see to that we can be part of finding the solutions to the increasing inequalities.